In this video, we are going to discuss about loop patterns. The while loop and for loops are usually used to go through a list of items or the content of a file and check the maximum or minimum data values. These loops are generally constructed by the following procedures. The first procedure is the initializing one or more variable before the loop starts. So for example, if you want to declare the loop statement, so for, the loop statement is while. So before declaring while, so we have to assign the variable values. The next procedure is performing some computation on each items in the loop body, the possibly changing the variable in the body of the loop. This is the second procedure. And next procedure is looking at the resulting variables when the loop completes. The construction of these loops pattern are demonstrated in the following examples. Let's consider counting loop. So one can use the for loop for counting the number of items in the list as shown. So here the count 0 is the variable initialization. So after that we are declare one for loop. So for I in, so we declare some list. The list contents are 4, -2, 41, 34 and 25. So this is the computation. So after that, so we are going to update the values. So here count is equal to count plus 1. So this is the first method and this is the second procedure and this is the third looping procedure. So after that we declare one print statement. So in this program the variable count is initialized before the loop. So count is equal to 0 is the initialization. So before the loop we initialized count is equal to 0. Through the counter variable I is not being used inside the body of the loop. So this is the body of the loop. So inside the loop we are not using any I. So it controls the number of iterations. The variable count is incremented in every iteration and at the end of the loop, the total number of elements in the list is stored in it. So for example, here, so we have 5 numbers. So if you execute this code, so at the end, so interpreter will gives 5. Let's consider one more loop. This loop is similar to previous, is finding the sum of the element in the list. So here the total is equal to 0. So 0 we assign to variable and variable is total. So after that we declare one looping statement. So for x n the list contents are 4, -2, 41, 34 and 25. So after that we declare total is equal to total plus 1. So this is the increment and this is the updation statement and this is computation. So after this, so we declare one print statement. So it's going to print the total value. So in this program the variable total is called as a accumulator. So total we called as a accumulator because in every iteration it accumulates the sum of the elements. In each iteration this variable is contained running total value so far. So if you execute this code, the interpreter will give the sum of these values. Note that In practice, both of the counting and summing loops are not necessary because there are a built-in function in Python, so length and sum functions for the same task respectively. So length is count the numbers and sum function will give the sum of the lists or tuples.
Let's execute counting and sum loops in interpreter. So let's consider counting loop. So here count is equal to 0. So after that, so we are going to declare the for loop. So for I n, so values are list values are 4, -2, 41, 34, comma 25. So after this, so we are going to update the values, or we are going to count the value. The statement is count is equal to count plus 1. So after that we are going to print the values, print the counts. So here the count is the initialization, and this is the loop declaration or computation, and this is the updation. So and this is the print statements. Just you run this code. So it counts the values. So here for loop consists of some list, and list contains 5 values. The 4 is the first one, -2 is the second one, 41, 34 and 25. So counts are 5. So instead of using this, so we can use built-in function, the built-in function called length. So length of so length function will take the one iteration. So for example, so we have to find out the length of the string. So here string is such in, so here number of characters are 1 2 3 4 5 6. So if you enter this, it will gives the length of the string. The length of the string is 6. So let's consider summing loop. So here the variable is total, so assigned value is 0. After that we declare one looping statement, and here the for and in is the keyword, x is the variable name, and here we declare one list. The list is consists of 4, -2, 41, 34 and 25. So after that we declare one condition. After that we declare the increment statement. The statement is total is equal to total plus x. After increment, so we are going to print the sum value. If you run this code, so it will give the sum of these numbers. So just you run this, so it will give 1 0 2. So sum of this number is equal to 108. Instead of this, so we can use one built-in function, Python built-in function, the function called sum. So for example, you take x is equal to 4 comma -2 comma 41 comma 34 comma 25 enter. So sum is the built-in function. So here we are going to sum the x values. So x, if you enter this, it will give the sum value. The sum value is 102. So instead of this, so we can use built-in function sum.
So now we will look into maximum and minimum loops. This is one of the looping patterns. So if you want to find the maximum element in the list, so this code can be used. So this is the maximum element finding loops. So here we declare big is equal to none. So after that we declare print. So before loop is big. So none is the constant variable. So it says it's empty. So after that we declare looping condition for x in least. So least contents are 12, 0, 21, minus 3. So after that we declare one condition if big is none or x greater than big. So if this condition is true, so big is equal to x. After that we are going to print the iteration value x is a big. So here big is equal to x is belongs to if condition and print is belongs to for loop conditions. So after that we are going to print, after all iterations we are going to print biggest value. So here in this program we initialize the variable big to none. So here we initialize big to none. It is a special constant is indicating empty. Hence we can't use the relative operators double equals while comparing it with big. So instead the is operator must be used. So here we use the is operator in every iteration. The counter variable x is compared with the previous value of big. So here the counter value x is comparing the previous value of the big. If x greater than big, then x is assigned to big. So let for example, so if you run this code, so before loop the interpreter is going to print none. So because none we assign to big, and after that we declared one print statement. So before loop is none. First iteration that's going to print 12. The value is the first iteration value is 12. So previous stored value is empty. So 12 is comparing with the none value. So here biggest value is 12. So interpreter is going to print 12 after first iteration. The next iteration the values are 0 is comparing with the previous stored value. The previous stored value in the accumulator is 12. So 12 is comparing with the 0. So after that, after comparing, interpreter is going to print the bigger value. The bigger value is 12. So 12 is going to print. So next element is 21. So 21 is comparing with the previous accumulated value. The previous accumulated value or stored value is 12. 12 is comparing with the 21. So after comparing, interpreter is going to print the biggest value. The bigger value is 21. So next iteration, the comparing value is -3. So -3 is comparing with the previous accumulated value. The previous accumulated value is 21. So 21 is comparing with the -3. After comparing, interpreter is going to print the bigger values. The bigger value is 21. So after all iteration, after all comparison, the interpreter is going to print the biggest value. The biggest is 21. So here list consists of 12, 0, 21 and -3. So out of this 4 element, the biggest value is 21. Similarly, one can have a loop for finding a smallest of element in the list. So this code is gives the smallest number. So here, so we declare constant value none to small. So after that we are going to print before loop the number is small. So default none value is the constant value. After that we declare one looping statement for xn. The list, we declare one list. The list consists of 12, 0, 21, minus 3. After loop, inside the loop we declare one condition if small is none or x less than small. So this condition is true, the x is assigned to small. So after that it's going to print iterated value is small. So after all iteration it's going to print smallest value. So for example, if you run this code, so before loop the interpreter will give the none value. So after first iteration, the first iterated value is 12. In our list we have 12. So 12 is comparing with the none. So the smallest value is 12. So next iteration, the iterated value is 0. So 0 is comparing with the 12. So here, the after comparing, the interpreter is going to print the smallest value, and smallest value is 0. So 0 is accumulated. So next value is 21. So 21 is comparing with the previous stored value or accumulated value. The previous stored value is 0. 0 is comparing with the 21. So here smallest value is 0. So 0 is accumulated and printed. So next iteration, the minus 3 is comparing with the previous accumulated value. The previous accumulated value is 0. So after comparing, the interpreter is going to print the smallest value. So here, so this is negative value minus 3 and 0 is the positive value. So after comparing, interpreter is going to print minus 3. So after all iteration, so interpreter is going to print the smallest value. So here the smallest value is minus 3. Note that in Python there are a built-in function max parenthesis and minimum parenthesis to compute the maximum and minimum values among. Hence, the above two loops need not to be written by the programmer explicitly. The built-in function minimum as the following code in Python. So it consists of def min values. So def is the keyword, min value is the function. So it will give the smallest is equal to none. So in initially the assigned value, initially it's a empty. After that, so after that it consists of for looping statement. So looping statement is for value in values. If smallest is none or the value is less than smallest, it will this condition is true, it will give the smallest value. At the end is returns the smallest. So instead of looping patterns, so we can directly use the max and minimum functions. So max and minimum are the built-in functions.
This code will give the biggest of the number. So just you run this code, so it will give the biggest number. So here our list consists of 12, 0, 21 and minus 3. So among these 4, the biggest number is 21. So 21 is the biggest number. So instead of this code, so we can directly use the built-in function. The built-in function is max. Max is the built-in function. So here The values are 12, comma 0, comma 21, comma minus 3. So it will give the biggest number. The biggest number is 21. So instead of this code, so we can directly use the max function. So now we will try the smallest of elements. So this code will give the smallest among the numbers. So here given numbers are 12, 0, 21 and minus 3. If you execute this, if you run this code, it will give the smallest number. The smallest number is 3. Just you run this, so it will give the smallest number. So before iteration it will give the none, empty. So first iteration it will give 12, next iteration it will give 2, next iteration it will give 0, and last iteration it will give minus 3. So minus 3 is the smallest number. So smallest number is minus 3. So instead of this code, so we can directly use the Python built-in function. If you want to find out the minimum among the numbers, so we can use min function. So min built-in function. So for example, min of 12, comma 0, comma 21, comma minus 3. So it will give the smallest among the numbers. The smallest number is minus 3. So min of and max of are the built-in function. It will give the maximum among the numbers and minimum among the numbers. These are some references. Thank you.